How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf 78. Daf Ayin Ches. Daf 78 of Masechta Yevamis. Just kidding. Masechta Kiddushin. Friends, Seder Noshim starts with Yevamis and ends with Yevamis. Alright, we're going to start in Daf Ayin Zayin and Beis, about 15 lines from the bottom. Yeah, I guess we ended a bit early tomorrow. I think yesterday I was just exhausted. But I realized that I actually probably there was actually a decent place to stop right at the top of Ayin Ches, so I probably should have gone till there. But I was tired, exhausted. I'm telling friends, you know me by now. Yevamis is not my thing. Yevamis is not my thing. Yevamis is not my thing. It's good. We've been learning Seder Noshim for a while now. When did we start Seder Noshim? I can't even remember. Maybe 2021, 2022. So maybe a year ago? Is that it? Could that be? No, come on. Maybe. Did we start Seder Noshim only a year ago? I don't know. Maybe a year and a half ago. Anyways, I'm ready to move on, I guess, to cows and oxen stepping on stuff and goring people and I don't know, maybe rather than trying to figure out whose mother is who. Alright, let's go weiter. Alright, we're going to start in Daf Ayin Zayin with Beis, about 15 lines from the bottom. Amalei Papa Labai, got it? Good. Amalei Papa Labai, so Papa says to Abai, Yisrael Abba Lachoso. So if you have a Yisrael who sleeps with his sister, Babylon, oh man. Alright, Rabbi So, are you still with us? Alright, if you're here, say hello. Amalei Abai, no, again, Amalei Papa Abai. So Papa says to Abai, Yisrael Abba Lachoso. If you have Yisrael who sleeps with his sister. Zona Mashvila. Okay, so she becomes a Zona as a result. That's for sure. But Chalala Mashvila, Olo Mashvila. The shaila is, does she oichet become a Chalala? The nafkamina is, if a Kohen now, I guess marries her, would he get Malchus for wait, let me see something. Yeah, right. Does a Kohen, if he sleeps with her, does he get Malchus for these things? Dafka, if he marries her? Lo Yikach, that's Kiddushin. But also, as we can see, Lo Yichalo. We are just saying Dafka if it's Ayidei. Oh, that's interesting. But it says Lo Yichalo. Okay, but it says, so I guess, I guess we're gonna kinda, I guess we're gonna kinda get to all this stuff today, actually. So I think it is actually if he just sleeps with her. So if a Kohen sleeps with her, because then it would be basically Mechalel. Well, if they have a child, the child will be a Chalel. So anyways, so I think if he sleeps with her, so the shaila is she just a Zona or is she a Zona and a Chalala? So would you get Malchus once or twice? Okay. So again, Amalei Papa Labai, Yisrael Abba Lachoso, Zona Mashvila, Chalala Mashvila, or Lo Mashvila. So would she oichet be a Chalala? So miyaminan Kal v'chomer. So do we say what's a Kal v'chomer? Michayve Lavin Havya Chalala. Well, if she becomes a Chalala just from a Chayve Lavin, right? So if a Kohen sleeps with a Grusha, for example, she becomes a Chalala. That's a Lav. Michayve Kreisos Lokol Sheken. So then certainly, if a fellow sleeps with his sister, which is a Chiyuv Kares, certainly she should become a Chalala. O Dilma ein Chalala Elo Meiser Kahuna. Or maybe, in order to be a Chalala, in order to get the special, what's the word I'm thinking of? Not labelization, categorization, to get the special distinction, whatever, namingization, labelization, categorization, in order to justification, I don't know, in order to specification, in order to get the classification, did I say classification yet? Maybe that's the word I'm thinking of. In order to get the special classification of a chalala, it would have to be like it from an Isser Kuna. For example, Amon al Kohen Gadol, Gushavach Lutzu al Kohen Hedjit. but not like a brother and sister thing. So Omar Lei, so Abai answers Rav Papa, Ein Chalal El Meser Kuna Bilvad, precisely that the classification, I think that's a nice word, classification. What do you guys think? That the classification of a halala would davka be a forbidden kohanitic priest. Right? Remember we went through this the other day. Priesty. Right? Remember I was trying to make up a word and I was having trouble to do with priest. Specifically a priestitarian classification. Okay. Amar Rava says Rava Mina Hamil Sadamar Abon in Halala Elam Isser Kuna. So how do we know this Indian that a halala is davka from an Isser Kahuna? So the Tanya is within the Brisa Yomai Grusha Bikoin Gadol. So let's go back there for a second. Vitesi Bikavachom Mikoin Hedget Vanamino Hash the Koin Hedget Asur the Koin Gadol Mibaya Lamanemra, etc. Right. So meaning we'll read that again. But meaning there. It already says by Kohen Hedget that he can't be with a grusha, right? Visha grusha meisha lo yikachu. So Kohen Hedget can't marry a grusha. So I don't need to write that by Kohen Gadol. Memele, anything that applies to Kohen Hedget would apply to Kohen Gadol at the very least. So the Tanya lo yoymar grusha be Kohen Gadol. So don't write grusha, that a grusha is not allowed by Kohen Gadol. I'll bring it out logically. Mi Kohen Hedget, from a Kohen Hedget. And I'll say the following. Hashel Kohen Hedget asura. If a Kohen Hedget, a regular Kohen, is not allowed to marry a grusha, so the Kohen Gadol mibaya, certainly a Kohen Gadol would be forbidden to marry a grusha. So lama nemra. So why does it say grusha by Kohen Gadol? Kshem shechaluka grusha mizone v'chalala b'Kohen Hedget. Well, just like by a Kohen Hedget, if you have a fella who is a chalala or a zona and she's oichit a grusha, so then you would get malchus twice, right? For each classification. So kachaluka b'Kohen Gadol. So the same thing applies to Kohen Gadol, that there would be multiple applications of whipping. Pshita, that's obvious. Migara gara, I don't understand. If we're saying that there would be multiple whippings by a Kohen Hedget, so then certainly the same should apply for a Kohen Gadol. What does he become any lesser now that he's a Kohen Gadol? Fakert. I would say the Afka things get more strict when you're a Kohen Gadol, not lighter. So Ella kshem shechaluka grusha mizona v'chalala b'Kohen Hedget. Rather, just like grusha would be considered separate from zona and chalala by Kohen Hedget, that if there were multiple classifications, you would get malchus for each of them. Kach almone chaluka migrusha v'chalala zona v'Kohen Gadol. So also by Kohen Gadol, not just grusha, but additionally an almone would be its own classification for lashes. So that's why it says grusha by Kohen Gadol as well, in order to teach this classification thing. I'm happy that I put in the effort to identify the word classification, because I've been using it. It's a very appropriate word, I think, for what we're learning now, classifications. So I'm happy that happened. Chalala lama nemra. How come it says chalala both by Kohen Hedget and Kohen Gadol? So ein chalala ela me'eser kahuna, and bingo. That is to teach that davka, a chalala, to be classified as a chalala, it would davka have to be in the context of in Isser Kahuna. Zoner lama nemra. And how come it says zoner both by Kohen Gadol and by Kohen Hedget? Nemer kan zoner, v'nemer lala zoner. That it says zoner by Kohen Gadol as well as by Kohen Hedget. Makan zari chulin, just like by Kohen Gadol, the child is chulin, as it says lo yichalel. Af lohalon zaruchulin. Also by Kohen Hedget, the child would be chulin, would be a chalal as well. Okay, Amar Vashi says, Vashi hilkach, therefore Kohen, if you have a Kohen, habal achoso, so a Kohen sleeps with his sister. Okay, so zona mashvila, chalala lo mashvila. So she becomes a zona. She doesn't yet become a chalala, but then once she's a zona, Chazur v'aleh, if he then sleeps with her nachamol, so now she's a zona, and he slept with the zona, so then Asa a Chalala, she becomes a Chalala, because a zona is not allowed to marry a Kohen. So first, she was asura to him as a sister. Once she slept with her once, then she was a zona, and she was now asura to him, Oichi, because she's a zoner. He sleeps with her nachamol, so then she's a Chalala as well. Rav Yehuda says, Rav Yehuda, Kohen Gadol ba'amona, lokesh time. So if a Kohen Gadol sleeps with an almone, so, let's go weiter for a second. We'll see exactly what he's getting Malkus for, but he gets Malkus twice. Achas mishum lo yikach, v'achas mishum lo yichal. So he gets Malkus for lo yikach, that he can't have Kiddushin with her, and also for lo yichalo, that he can't have Bia with her. V'lo kenami mishum lo yichal zaro, but there should be a third lashes for lo yichal zaro, his seed, right? Because by having Bia, he's being mechal his zera, his seed. V'shelo gomer biasol, he didn't complete his beer. There was no release of sperm, so therefore it wasn't lo yichal zar, it was just lo yichal. Givaldik, very, very beautiful. Okay, so givaldik. Okay, so he's chayiv twice for lo yikach and lo yichal. Although I guess if he was going to be also, then it would oichet be for lo yichal zar. Basiv Rav asked a kasha. Almane ugrusha loke mishum shnei shemis. So we say that if a kohen gadol sleeps with an almana who's oichet a grusha, so he gets malchus twice. So my lav shnei shemis v'sulo. So that implies they only get malchus a total of twice. Sounds like once for grusha, once for almana. But we had just said that it would be twice, seemingly for each of them, for lo yikach and lo yichala. So lo shnei shemis hazeh v'shnei shemis hazeh. No, he would get malchus twice for grusha and twice for almana. Right, once for lo yikach and once for lo yichalo, both by almana as well as by grusha. So 4 times lashes. Wow, he's gonna have some serious calluses. I wonder if by the time they get up to the 4th round of lashes, maybe he doesn't even feel it anymore. He's got such scar tissue over there. If that's the case, ema seifa. But what about the seifa where it says grusha v'chalutza einu chayv ela achas? When it says that he sleeps with a grusha who's oichet a chalutza, so then he's only chayev once. So, but shouldn't you at least be chayev twice? So, ochi kamar einu chayev ela al achas. No, it means he's only chayev for one of them. U'la'olam shnei shemis, but he'd be chayev for a kohen would be chayev for sleeping with a grusha, and he would be chayev twice for lo yikach and lo yichalal. But only for the grusha, but not for the chalutza. The chalutza derabanan, right? So you wouldn't be chayiv for chalutza because the only reason why a kohen is not allowed to marry chalutza, it's midirabanan. It's midirabanan. But is that really true? V'atani, we learn in the Brisa grusha that the pasuk says dafka grusha, right? The pasuk says isha zona v'chalal lo yikachu v'isha grusha meisha lo yikachu. Einli ala grusha chalutza minayin. How do I oichet no chalutza? Talmud lomar v'isha. There's an extra vav. So it sounds like chalutza is midoraisa, not midorabanan. We're learning from a pasuk midorabanan because machtavam. And we say taka is derabanan. What about that pasuk? It's an asmachta. Amar Abai says Abai, kidesh loke ba'al loke. So if you have, let's say, a kohen gadol who is mekadesh and almana, immediately whip him up. Then he has bia, whip him up. Each step of the way, lashes. We're standing there with the whip. And we say, bro, don't do it. He says, I'm going to do it. And he does it. We say, oh, bro, I told you not to. And that's that, like that. And we'll learn Masechta Makis. It's already coming up a shtick of Masechta Makis. I mean, we got a ways to freaking go, but we're starting this week Masechta Nezikin. So, Makis is in Nezikin. So it goes a little bit differently than that, but I'll go upon him. So kidesh loka mishum lo yikach, ba loka mishum lo yichal. So by being mekadesh her, he gets malchus for lo yikach, and then by having beer with her, he gets malchus for lo yichal. Rava Omer says, Rava ba'al loke, lo ba'al inu loke. Rava says no. By being mekadesh her, there's not yet malchus. When he then has beer, then we give him malchus twice. But you only get the malchuses are only activated once there's bia. If it was only Kiddushin, there wouldn't be makis. Once there's bia, then there's makis for lo yikach and lo yichal. Mishum dechsiv, the pasuk says lo yikach v'lo yichal. Matam lo yikach mishum lo yichal. How come there shouldn't be kiddushin? Because ultimately we don't want there to be bia. So once there's bia, then you get 2 times makis, but until then you don't get any makis. Umodu Abaye. Now Abaye, who says that you get makis for the kiddushin, and then you get makis separately for the bia. So b'machzor grushaso, but if you have a fellow who gets divorced, and then his ex-wife marries somebody else, and then they get divorced, or she becomes a widow, she's not allowed to marry him. She's not allowed to go back to her original husband anymore, right? If they get divorced and then immediately remarried, that's fine. But once she marries somebody else, then she's not allowed to, and it's a lav, right? So it's called machzor grushaso. Right, it says lo yuchal bal arishon lachzor lashuv lekachta lo lisha or something. So we see it's a lab, but machzor grushaso. So even though Abaye says by a kohen gadol and almana that there will be separate makis for the kiddushin and for the bia. However, by machzor grushaso shem kiddush v'lo bal, that if there was only kiddushin but no bia, she'eno loke, he wouldn't get any makis at all. Lakachta because davka by machzor grushaso it says he can't remarry her davka in order, right, to have bia. As long as they didn't have bia, there wouldn't be any makis. Umode Rave, and Rave, who says that the makis only are activated, so to speak, once there is bia, but for kiddushin alone there would not be makis. Kohen gadol ba'almana he's modeh by kohen gadol and almana in ba'al v'lo kiddush, that if there was only bia but no kiddushin, sheloke, that he will still get makis. He won't get twice makis, but he'll get makis once. V'lo yichal zaro ba'amav amar Rachmana b'arei hu chilel. Because it says v'lo yichal zaro, and he did that, right? If they have a baby together, it will be a chalal. By the way, that is why, you see, that, friends, you realize, that is why before, when I was trying to think, if a kohen sleeps with a grusha, without marrying a grusha, so is he chayiv makis? And does she become a chalala? So I wanted to say yes, based on all this stuff, right? Because it says v'lo yichal, that's dafka by like if we piece together all the things that we've just learned over the past, right, it says 18 minutes now, so past, 15 minutes or so, we learned that because it says zoner, both by kohen hedget and by kohen gadol, so we can learn out one from the other, and just like we saw just now by kohen gadol, it says lo yichalel. So it says that being mechalel. Well, let's talk about a kohen gadol for a second. So we just said a kohen gadol, even by just having bia, it's lo yichalel, right? So you get makas for just having bia alone, and mistama that would be mechalel her as well. And then we also learn out from the zona thing that this would apply to a kohen hedget as well. So I think, if I understand correctly, we learn out from all these pieces that both a kohen gadol and a kohen hedget, even if they just have bia without kiddushin, that would be enough to get makis and mistamah to be mechalal as well. Mechalal her. Okay, Ushnei Modim, and both Rava and Abaye agree. B'machzor grushaso, that when it comes to machzor grushaso, she'im ba v'lo kiddush, that if there was bia without kiddushin, she'eno loke, that he doesn't get makis, derech likuchin, also Torah, because Davka the Torah said it's also only if it's by way of kicha, only if it's by way of kiddushin. Right? Luyuchal ba'al rishon lachzor lekachta, something like that. Rabbi Yehuda bas ger zocher kibas chol. So Rabbi Yehuda said that the daughter of a ger is like the daughter of a cholol, and that she cannot marry a kohen. Cheve, this is going to be a little bit, I don't know, spaghetti. I don't know. It is what it is. This next chunk of Gemara. Tani Rabbi Yehuda, Mrs. Rabbi Yehuda, bas ger zocher kibas chol zocher. So the daughter of a ger zocher, a male proselyte, is like the daughter of a male cholol, that she cannot marry a kohen. Vadin no sin, and I'll tell you why. Macholol shebami tipa kshere bito psula. Well, a cholol who is both of his parents were Jewish. They married each other in an improper way, but they're both Jewish, and yet the daughter is not allowed to marry a kohen. So ger shebami tipa psula, a ger who the seed he was created with was a Ovid Kochavim seed. So Eino Din Shabito Psula, then certainly it makes sense to say that his daughter would be psul l'kuna. But one second, don't bring a raya from cholol. Mal cholol shkenit siroso ba'aver. Nah, cholol, it makes sense why his daughter cannot marry a kohen. A cholol was created ba'aver. A ger was not created ba'aver. There's nothing wrong with an oved kochavim marrying an ovedis kochavim. So he wasn't created ba'aver. Okay, fine. Kohen gadol ba'amon yochiach. Okay, it's fine. What's that? Well, it's a plane. I hope it's a plane. I hope it's not a rocket. It's pretty loud. Kohen gadol ba'amona yochiach. Oh, so Kohen gadol ba'amona she'eni tziraso ba'aver. The Kohen gadol wasn't created in sin, and yet bito psula, and yet his daughter is psula. So we'll say the same thing by a ger. But Mala Kohen Gadol ba'amona she can be also ba'avera. Yeah, but a Kohen Gadol ba'amona he's not that is a forbidden relationship. A ger marrying a Yisraelis, there's nothing wrong with that. Cholol yochiach. Okay, so let's bring it back to the cholol, where cholol marrying a bas Yisrael is also not a problem, yet the child is possible to a kohen. V'chazer adin. But we say, yeah, but a cholol was created ba'avera. So lo rizeh kirizeh. So look, Kohen Gadol, the Ba'amona has its problems, Cholol has its problems, Hatzad HaShavah, Sheboim, but what's the common thread? She'ein Brov Akol, that they're sort of not the sort of cookie cutter the cookie cutter Leib Dikachasana kind of situation. You have a Cholol, you have a Kohen Gadol Ba'amona, sort of out of the box kind of a situation. Afani Avias Ager She'ein Brov Akol. So also I'll bring a ger also who's kind of relatively speaking out of the box, so also his daughter will be unable to marry a kohen. Uvito psula, his daughter cannot marry a kohen. But mala tzad hashavah sheboin sheken yesh ben tzad avera. But come on, the kohen gadol ba'amona, the cholol, there's an aspect of avera over there, right? I guess the point is that even if the cholol didn't do anything wrong, but his parents did, he was born out of that. The ger, there's nothing wrong with what the ger did. He's a proselyte. We should welcome the proselyte. He didn't do anything wrong. He became a yid. So lotema kohen gadol ba'amona yochiach ela ema mitzri rishon yochiach. So forget about the kohen gadol ba'amona. What about the mitzri rishon? Right, an Egyptian proselyte who marries an Egyptian is proselytus. An Egyptian is proselytus. Right, an Egyptian proselyte marries an Egyptianist proselytus, and so nothing wrong, right? A Mitzri Rishon marries a Mitzvah Rishona. So no avera there. They're both proselytes. They marry each other. The child is now a Mitzri Sheni. Mitzri Sheni can't marry into the call, right? Only the third generation. So right? So and the child cannot marry in. So I'll say also a regular proselyte, even though there's no avera, the child cannot marry in. Cannot marry a kohen. Can marry Yisrael, a Levi, but not a kohen. Where am I? Yeah, but don't bring a proof from a Mitzri Rishon, because a Mitzri Rishon can't marry into the congregation at all. A ger can marry into the congregation. We're arguing maybe not a kohen, but certainly a Yisraelis or a Leviah. So cholol yochiach. Okay, so let's go back to the cholol then, because a cholol can marry a Yisrael and a Leviah. Yisraelis and a Leviah. But then we say, yeah, but V'cholol was created by there. So okay, fine. So each one's got its own issue, but the common thread is that they're sort of out of the box, not cookie cutter situation, whether it's a ger mitzri or whether it is a cholol, and their daughter cannot marry a kohen. Afani avias ager she'eino brov kol. Uvito psula. That ger also is not a cookie cutter situation, and his daughter cannot marry a kohen. Mala tzad hashavah sheboin shekin psulim bebi also. Yeah, but don't bring me I'm sorry, shekin poslim bebi also. Yeah, but don't bring me a proof from a cholol and from a mitzri, because as we learned the other day that they're posel bebi also, right? If you have, like we said, if you have a boy who's 9 years old in a day and he's a cholol, or he's a mitzri and he sleeps with the bas Yisrael, she can no longer marry a kohen. So it's posel bibi also. Rabbi Yehuda ger nami posel bibi also. Rabbi Yehuda says, yeah, but a ger is also posel bibi also. Umaisila b'me'atzad hashavah me'adina, and he brings it from learning out this Matzah Shaveh. What does Rashi say? Macholol shebamitipa ksheira posel ger shebamitipa psula lokoshkin ready fefe. Cholol, who comes from a Jewish seed, his daughter is psula, so certainly a ger, his daughter would be psula. Okay, so that is how Reb Yehuda learns it out. That was exciting. So Reb Yehuda says that a ger who marries a Bas Yisrael, the child cannot, the daughter cannot marry a Kohen. Now, let's go weiter for a second. So Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov ger. So Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, we'll just go weiter for a minute, and then we'll put everything together. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov had said that a ger who marries a giores, the daughter cannot marry a Kohen. Now, Tanya, we learn about Reb Shimon ben Yechai. Omer says Reb Shimon ben Yechai, giores pchusa mibas shalosh shanim v'yom echad. We learned this the other day that if a girl converts when she is less than 3 and a day, ksheira l'chahuna, she's allowed to marry a Kohen. Shneimar, the pasuk says, "Hataf banoshim," that all of the young girls, hachayu lachem, you can leave alive. Palo Pinchas hayomim, and Pinchas, who was a Kohen, was with them. So we see that the young girls, if they're less than 3 and a day, can marry a Kohen. Whereas the Rabbanan who say that no, even if she converts less than 3 in a day, she cannot marry a Kohen. That pasuk is talking about you could take them for avodim and shvachis, but not for, or you wouldn't be able to a Kohen would not be allowed to marry a girl who converted when she was less than 3 in a day. So we see four opinions here when it comes to gerim. There's opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, who says that a ger who marries a Bas Yisrael, the daughter cannot marry a Kohen. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says, no, a ger who marries a Bas Yisrael, the daughter can marry a Kohen. But if both parents are gerim, then the daughter cannot marry a Kohen. We have the opinion of Rabbi Yossi in the Mishnah, who says that no, even if both parents are gerim, the daughter can marry a Kohen. And now we just saw the opinion of Reb Shimon, who says that even a giores herself can marry a Kohen, so long as she converted when she was less than 3 and a day. Let's go weiter. So now, v'chulon, and all 4 of these opinions, mikra echa darshu, they all learn it out from the same pasuk. The pasuk says in Yechezkel, Almana ugrusha lo yikchu loim l'noshim, that a Kohen Gadol cannot marry a widow or a divorcee. Kim besulis mizera beis Yisrael, only a besula from zera beis Yisrael. Yehuda saver ad the is kol zera mi Yisrael. That Rabbi Yehuda says that the full seed needs to be mi Yisrael, and that Rashi is Dafka talking about the zera of the father. Dafka needs to be Yisrael. It cannot be a ger, and if so, then she cannot marry a Kohen. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov mizera v'afilu mixas zera. No, even if just the mother is a Bas Yisrael, so then the daughter can marry a Kohen. But if both of them are gerim, then no. Rabbi Yossi saver misha nizru b'Yisrael. Was Rabbi Yossi says that no, as long as she was born to Jews, both the father and mother at the time were Jewish, they had already converted, she can marry a Kohen. So Reb Shimon ben Yochai saver misha nizru b'sulei b'Yisrael. Whereas Reb Shimon ben Yochai says that it's somebody who her besulim became when she was Yisrael. Meaning, right, the assumption is that, if a girl who's less than 3 in a day loses her besulim, so then they will grow back. But so therefore 3 in a day is kind of the sort of cutoff point there, and therefore Reb Shimon says that as long as her besulim were b'Yisrael, her herself, she would be right. So as long as she converted prior to 3 in a day, so then she even she herself would be able to marry a Kohen. Amarle Rav Nachman the Rava. Now Rav Nachman says to Rava, Haikra Reisha b'Kohen Gadol v'Seif b'Kohen Hedget. So Rav Nachman points out something interesting to Rava, which is that pasuk that we just quoted from Yechezkel. We'll read it together. The first part of the pasuk seems to be referring to a Kohen Gadol, and the second part of the pasuk seems to be referring to a Kohen Hedget. The pasuk says, "V'amane ugrushe." So if we're talking about an almana, so almana is dafka a kohen gadol Indian, not a kohen hedget Indian, right? Lo yikchu loim, that a kohen gadol cannot marry an almana or a grusha. Lenashim kim besulis mizera beis Yisrael. Ve'a almane asher tiya almana mi kohen yikachu. But an almana can marry a kohen. So we just said Amana can't marry a kohen, then we're saying an Amana can marry a kohen. So the ratio must be talking about a kohen gadol. The sefer is talking about a kohen hedget. So Rava says taka yeah. V'chasav krahachi. Rav Nachman says I don't understand. Do psukim do this? What, just in the middle we just magically start unannounced talking about somebody else? Amalein. Rava says taka yes. The pasuk says V'ner Elokim terem yichbe, and the candle of God before it was extinguished. Ushmuel shochev ve'echel Hashem, and Samuel was lying in the sanctuary of God. Following yeshiva be'azore el malchei beis David b'vad. How could Samuel have been lying down in the Azor? Only the kings of the only Davidic kings were allowed to sit in the Azor. How could Samuel have been sitting in the Azor? Ella, rather it must be ner Elokim terem yichbe ve'echel Hashem. Rather it's before the candle was extinguished in the Heichel, Shmuel shochev b'mkomo, and Shmuel was lying down in his dorm room. But different places, and without being clear about it, the pasuk was talking about different things. So here also, without sort of making a clear distinction, nonetheless, the first part of the pasuk is talking about an almana, and the second part of the pasuk is what? The first part of the pasuk is talking about a kohen gadol. Second part of the pasuk is talking about a kohen hedget. Ve'almone asher tiyeh almone mikoyen yikachu. Right. So it says that in almone, Davka needs to marry a kohen. Mikoyen in Yisrael lo. I don't understand. An almona needs to marry a kohen. Almona can't marry Yisrael. Mikoyen yikachu mishar ke'ani mikachu. Meaning, whereas the ratio of the pasuk is talking about a kohen gadol, the sefer is saying that if she's an almona, she can marry from the other kohanim. Certainly a Yisrael or a Levi as well, but she can marry a kohen hedget, just not a kohen gadol. Tanam Yochav also in a verse like this: mikoyen yikachu mishar ke'ani mikachu. That the kohen, the right that an almona can take from a kohen hedget, but can marry a kohen hedget, but not a kohen gadol. Rabbi Yehuda Amar says, Rabbi Yehuda, min hamasim lekehuna yikachu. That a kohen can marry somebody whose daughter can marry a kohen to the exclusion of a ger. I'm sorry. Right. That an almone would be able to marry somebody whose daughter would be able to marry a kohen, aish, to the exclusion of a ger. An almona would not be able to marry the exclusion of the almona of a ger. Right, because we know, let's go back there for a second. Rabbi Yehuda, the time Rabbi Yehuda is according to his reasoning to Amar, that he says, Bas ger zocher kebas chalal zocher, that the daughter of a ger is like the daughter of a chalal, that the daughter cannot marry a kohen. Kol shatanose bito, atanose amanoso, and anybody who you can marry his daughter, you can marry his almana. And somebody who cannot marry his daughter, you can't marry his almana. So again, so when we say that, so the pasuk had said, what did it say? What does it mean mikoyen yikachu? So what do we say? Min hamasim lekehuna yikachu. That davke in almana can marry a kohen if she's an almana from somebody whose daughter would be able to marry a kohen, to the exclusion of a ger, because Rabbi Yehuda says that the daughter of a ger cannot marry a kohen, and if the daughter of a ger cannot marry a kohen, then the almana of a ger can also not marry a kohen. Alright, welcome to Masechta Yevamis. Okay. Rabbi Yossi Omer says, Rabbi Yossi Av ger shenos gioris, even a ger who marries a gioris, says Rabbi Yossi, the daughter can marry a kohen. Omer of Amnuna Mishmei De'ula, halacha kirib Yossi. V'chein Omer Rabba Bar Bar Chana, halacha kirib Yossi. However, but from the day that the temple was destroyed, Nagu Kayanim Silsul Ba'atzman, the Kayanim were kind of added like an extra stringency to themselves. Like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, that if both parents are gerim, Kohanim would not marry the daughter. Rav Nachman says, Rav Nachman, Amar Lihuna said that Huna told him, I assume that's Rav Huna, look, if a Kohen comes to ask, can I marry the daughter of two Gerim? So we would say like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, not to. But Nasa in Motzim Osa Mimenu Rabbi Yossi. But if he married the daughter of two Gerim, so look, at the end of the day, the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi, and we would say, don't worry, you could stay married. Okay, let's try to get to the bottom of the page over here. We could technically stop here, but I don't want to. There's a mission at the bottom of the page, and let's just do it and get all caught up. Says the Mishnah, Omer, oh man, I'm getting a shtickle cough, barely a cough. Omer b'nizeh mamzer eno ne'emon. If a fellow says, my son over here is a mamzer, he's not believed. V'afilu shnei modim ala uber shemeel mamzer hu enam ne'emonim. Even if both the father and the mother say about a fetus that the fetus came from a not allowed relationship, and the child is going to be a mamzer, in ne'emanim they're not believed. Rabbi Yehuda Omer ne'emanim. Rabbi Yehuda says they are believed. In the whole Mishnah, right? Father is believed to say that the child is a mamzer. The parents would be believed to say that the fetus is a mamzer. Ma'ava fidush name. How come the Mishnah had to say? Ask the Gemara. How come the Mishnah had to say? Meaning, first the Mishnah had said that the father is not believed to say that his child is a mamzer, and then we had to say, and even if both of them say about the fetus, the unborn fetus, that it's a mamzer, they're not believed. What's the chiddush there? So lomi baya ka'amar. It's not only this, but even that thing. Lomi baya ihu tilo kimle. That okay, so I understand why we don't trust him, because how does he know? She knows for sure she got pregnant from, right? We're assuming that she knows who she got pregnant from. Okay, maybe he doesn't know. But even she, the Kimla, that she would know, lo mehemna, she's not believed, right? She's not believed. Rashi had said on the Mishnah, enoneman dikarvu etzlo, because he's a relative, right? So we're saying, so even her, we don't believe. And okay, so in the ratio we're talking about where the baby was already born, so he was born, and at the time that he was born, we assume that he was kosher, so they can't override the chazaka of being kosher, that they're not believed. But even a fetus, nami de leisle chazaka de kashrus, that hasn't yet been born, and therefore there's no chazaka de kashrus, they're not believed, right? So even a situation where she's also saying it, and she would know, and the child, even if the child isn't born, and there's no chazaka de kashrus yet, still they're not believed. Rabbi Yehuda Omer ne'emanim, but Rabbi Yehuda says they are believed. Kedetana is within the Brayso, yakirenu lachem, right? Because when the pasuk says ki bechor ben asnua yakir, he will recognize. We learn out from that yakirenu lachem that he can recognize him to other people, that he could testify, report about him to other people. Mikanama Rabbi Yehuda, from here Rabbi Yehuda says, Neman Adam Lomar, that a fellow is believed to say, Zeh b'ni b'chor, this is my son, the firstborn. Uchshem sheneman, Adam Lomar zeh b'ni b'chor, kach neman Adam, Lomar zeh ben gusha v'zeh ben chalutza. And just like, says Rabbi Yehuda, just like a fellow is believed to say about his son that he is the firstborn, he's also believed to say about his son that his son is a ben grusha, or ben chalutza, v'chacham om eno neman, whereas the chacham say he is not believed to say about his son that he's a ben grusha ben chalutza, but he is believed to say that he's a bechor, which is not a ben grusha or ben chalutza. Amalei Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak l'Rava. So Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak asked Rava, "B'shlam Rabbi Yehuda, hanu d'chsiv yakir." So I understand according to Rabbi Yehuda, I understand why he needs to say yakir to teach me about the ben grusha ben chalutza. El Rabban yakir lamli. According to the Rabbanon, what do they learn out from yakir? Because it can't be used to testify ben grusha ben chalutza. B'tzarich hakera. Well, it's talking about a situation. Yakir is teaching about a situation when you davka need to testify about the son that he is a firstborn. That is what it's saying. The mayuch. So when would you ever need to testify about the son that he's a firstborn? So if we say lasei slo pishnayim, if it's to give him the double portion, pshita. Well, obviously a father can decide who gets a double portion. Why do I need a pasuk for that? Migo di boy meisva le matana milo yavile. Right? If the father wanted, he can even give it. Right? He can just give it to his son as a gift. That we don't need to trust him that he's the firstborn in order to be able to say that you're going to get this amount of my inheritance. Well, a gift would work. I can gift you something that I have currently. But what about property that would come later on? So that wouldn't be included in the gift. But by saying that this is my son who's the firstborn, so then Memela, anything that was already, anything that will come, it all would go to him. Right? The double portion would go to him as the firstborn, since he's been established as the firstborn. But if it's just a gift, then the gift will only apply to what he already has, what the inheritance already is, not what will come in the future. What about according to a mayor who says, but a person can make a kinyan even on things that don't yet exist? So therefore, again, why do we need a pasuk to say that the father is believed to say which one is the firstborn? Just you can give it to him as a gift, and even things that he doesn't have yet. But Meir says you could be makne davar shelo bala olam, things that don't exist yet. Well, shnaflo kshu gosis. Well, what if he got the extra inheritance when he was on his deathbed? So in that case, right, people aren't gifting things that they're going to get in the future when they're about to die. Right, the future is a question mark. So therefore, davar shelo bala, being makne davar shelo bala olam wouldn't apply there. But if he's able to appoint to say this is my firstborn, well then that status would apply to anything that would even come in the future. Friends, that was Daf Ayin Ches of Masechta Kiddushin. I hope you enjoyed. Peace out.